Latino en Estados Unidos. Aquí un poco de la reseña de nuestro invitado. Es miembro activo de la Asociación Americana de Abogados de Inmigración. Ha impartido conferencias y seminarios sobre temas de derecho migratorio en los Estados Unidos, en el extranjero, y ha asesorado e impartido entrenamientos a representaciones consulares mexicanas en el exterior. Como abogado migratorio, brinda servicios de inmigración a clientes y empresas en Estados Unidos, México y el resto del mundo, particularmente a personas que solicitan visa para trabajar, invertir y vivir en los Estados Unidos. Se graduó de la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad Metropolitana de Manchester. Asistió a California Western School of Law en San Diego, California, y obtuvo el grado de maestría en Derecho Internacional. Ha sido citado por numerosos periódicos y programas de radio en todo el mundo. Ha escrito artículos para diversas publicaciones en Estados Unidos. Asimismo, publicó el libro titulado Mi trabajo en Estados Unidos de América, Guía del Trabajador Extranjero para encontrar un patrocinador de visas y empleo en los Estados Unidos, así como un libro electrónico sobre visas, TN, NAFTA, disponible en Internet. Actualmente conduce el programa de radio llamado The Enchanting Liar, igualmente transmitido por Internet. Habla 4 idiomas: ruso, hebreo, inglés y francés. Aparte de un poco español. Tenemos el gusto de tenerlo aquí con nosotros el día de hoy. Le cedo la palabra a nuestro invitado y gracias por estar con nosotros.
Buenos días, gracias. Thank you for having me here, first of all. I'm going to...
Do you want to use this one or?
Let's maybe this one is easy. So for me it's a big honor to be here, to visit your group. I heard a lot about this. And I think one of the things that I want to do is I want to give you information, but also to share my perspective of what's happening on the border between Mexico and the United States, and spend the next half an hour just sharing with you my experience as an immigration attorney, but also as a business person working on the American side.
El abogado Diego Satoshi va a hablar un poco, va a hablar de lo que es la migración, de las visas, también va a hablar un poco de su experiencia como abogado migratorio en este lado, del país y de la frontera.
And just for me to, as far as English, I mean, most of you understand just by show of hands. Most people, okay, very good. Yeah. I mean, I speak many languages, but Spanish is my next one. I'm working on it. Next time we're going to be here, I'll speak Spanish. So I call this presentation "Doing Business in the U.S." And you know, doing business between the two countries, so many changes. For example, on my way here, I'm an immigration lawyer, but I forgot my passport. So I walked in, and the immigration in Mexico, they were checking and they were asking questions, and you can see that the awareness as to the movement of the people is changing, and I feel it. And so I think it's important to see where the future is going to go as far as how we do business between the two countries.
Está diciendo el abogado que las cosas están cambiando, va a hablar de la experiencia que él tiene y, por ejemplo, está haciendo referencia en la mañana, cómo las cosas han cambiado, justamente viniendo para acá se le olvidó su pasaporte. Entonces, como tuvo una serie de problemas, pero pudo, gracias a Dios, que pudo estar aquí.
So, some of the things considerations that we have being on the border. So, what are some of the risks and challenges that we have when we do business between the United States and Mexico? What are some of the benefits of understanding the system before we think about doing business between the United States and Mexico? What are some of the business forms that we should consider even before thinking about getting interest in doing business between the two countries? What are some of the changes that happen right now in legalities, in trade, in immigration, in other legal business formations? Those are things that we consider before we start getting into an international business state of mind. What are some of the things we need to know? Do we need to establish partnerships with American partners? Do we need to forge joint ventures? What are some of the considerations in this respect? So these are some of the things that I always tell my clients. Why do you even want to do business on an international scale? This should be the first step. Why do you want to do business in an international scale? And then we go into all these factors.
El abogado se está enfocando, nos va a decir de qué es lo que va a hablar, de cómo hacer negocios en Estados Unidos, de qué considerar primero, qué tipo de sociedad, qué tipo de entidad, qué tipo de organización, qué tipo de sociedad es la que se tiene que constituir. También se va a hablar de los cambios que ha habido en la normatividad, en la migración, y todos los riesgos, todos los beneficios que se tienen que considerar antes de hacer negocios en Estados Unidos.
So, once the decision has been made to engage in business between the two countries, the first thing that I always tell my clients is, especially when they come from Mexico, is that the basic visa that you need is a tourist visa. And most people here, I assume, have the right to enter as visitors, which we have the laser visa or the cross-border tourist visa. And to me, this is one of those entry cards that's changed so much in the last 15 years. The tourist visa allows any Mexican person just to come here and spend some time doing shopping, maybe meet some friends, maybe sometimes even inquire about business. But over the years, the tourist visa, the permit to enter the country has become very, very dangerous. In fact, we have a lot of people that cross the border on a daily basis. They may even own homes in San Diego or other parts of California and other states. And some of them are even involved in businesses. And the problem is that in the past year or so, many of these people are risking their tourist visas. And I'll give you some examples. So the first consideration is that before I enter the US, what do I need? I need a visa. The easiest visa to have, most of you have, is a tourist visa. But what can I do with this visa? What am I allowed to do, or what am I not allowed to do? And what are some of the biggest changes that are happening right now that will affect each and every one of you crossing the border every day?
Okay. El abogado Jacob está hablando de el primer paso que uno tiene que hacer para ir a Estados Unidos es una visa. La visa que particularmente todos como mexicanos fronterizos que tenemos y más y en todo el mundo, pero específicamente más nosotros por ser vivir en una frontera, es la visa turista. La visa de turista, la visa de visitante, ¿no? Que es la base. Le dice el abogado que en los últimos 15 años esto ha estado cambiando mucho, ya que hay gente que por muchas cosas tiene una casa allá, inclusive empiezan a hacer negocios y están cruzando y muchas veces el hecho de hacer este tipo de actividades hasta cierto punto arriesgan que se las quiten.
So I'll give you an example. I have an interesting story of a businessman who was who lived in Ensenada, and he was crossing twice a week to go to San Diego, and he was working in Mexico, but he had a house in Coronado, and he was crossing the border. And then one day, he was pulled into secondary inspection, and they asked him some questions, and he was in a hurry. He woke up, he didn't have coffee that morning, he was angry, and he said some things to the officer that he shouldn't have done, he shouldn't have said. The officer sent him to secondary inspection, and at that point, they would search his wallet, and they found his Bank of America check card. And at that moment, they asked him, where do you live? He said, in Ensenada, I have businesses there, all my life is there, everything is going on there. Do you own any properties in America? Yes, I have a house in Coronado. Why do you have a bank card? Do you live in America? And they determined that he lives in Ensenada. He didn't say that. And the moment they took his visa, they canceled it. And they sent it back to Tijuana. And that person has been fighting the right to come back for the last 2 years. This is just one example of the things that are changing on the border, and it's important to be aware of.
El abogado está dando un ejemplo de una persona que vive en Ensenada con una casa en Coronado, cruzó la frontera con su visa, el señor no estaba de muy buen humor, le hicieron preguntas, lo revisaron, inspeccionaron, vieron que tenía cuenta en el Banco de América, salió de lo que tenía casa en Coronado, la gente no le creyó, le quitó su visa y desde hace 2 años está peleando la posibilidad de volverlo a obtener.
So the bottom line is that the changes that we see coming up right now is that the U.S. government is trying to be a bit more strict with people that come in. They're trying to show that while the tourist visa is a free right to enter and exit, they still want people to respect what that visa allows you to do, which is to be a visitor, which is to be a tourist, which does not allow you to stay here more than a certain amount of time per month. And also, if you intend to work in the United States, you must start thinking about the correct visa that you need. If you're going to buy properties in the United States, you have to understand that when you cross the border back and forth, you need to know what to say, what to carry with you, and what not to carry with you, because it's going to get worse and worse. It is going to get more complicated, and once they take away the privilege to cross, it's going to be very difficult to get it back. So, knowing the fact that you are able to go back and forth on a tourist visa, maybe at some point you're thinking about, well, I would like to be part of a business in the United States. I would like to be, to invest. I would like to expand my existing business in Mexico. What are the opportunities, the possibilities that we have for Mexican nationals to conduct business in the United States? So one of the most common visas is called an E2 visa, which is an investor visa, which allows a Mexican national to open any sort of business they want in the United States, as long as they invest a minimum amount of about $100,000 or so. I'm surprised how many people are not familiar with this visa, which is very interesting, because it allows you essentially to relocate yourself temporarily to the United States for a period up to 5 years, and you pretty much can start any business. You can join any business as long as you can show that you have the ability to invest at least $100,000, which is not a reasonable amount of work. And sometimes I speak too fast, so you just do this.
El abogado está hablando de los cambios que ha habido en las leyes migratorias, que cada vez son más estrictos. Primero nos dijo que lo que el gobierno quiere es que se respeten las leyes migratorias. ¿Cómo se puede hacer esto? Es simplemente para todas aquellas personas que tienen visa de turista visitante, es muy importante que al momento en que crucen sepan qué decir, sepan qué traer, porque muchas veces, como nada más va a ser un pequeño, lo que está diciendo es que a veces no sabemos qué decir, traemos cosas o cosas en nuestro vehículo por nosotros mismos que pueden hacer pensar que no somos turistas y somos visitantes. Entonces, el otro punto que está comentando el abogado es que hay que entender que podemos hacer diferentes tipos de cosas en Estados Unidos para todas aquellas personas que tenemos la visa B1 o B2. Cuando no se trata de actividades que son de ir de turista, de ir a visitar a algún amigo, inclusive ir a ver algo relacionado con un negocio, si nosotros queremos cambiar nuestras razones por las cuales ir a Estados Unidos, como puede ser ampliar un negocio o invertir, hay otro tipo de visas. Está hablando ahorita, se está enfocando en la visa, una que se llama E1, que es una visa de inversionista de tratado. Esta visa es para abrir un negocio, puede ser también para expandir, y se requiere de una inversión aproximada de $100,000. A él le sorprende que muchas personas, muchos emprendedores, muchos empresarios mexicanos a veces no están familiarizados con este tipo de visas y hacen actividades comerciales allá y como les había comentado inicialmente, a veces no tienen la visa adecuada.
So, an example of what you can do with an e-visa is, for example, we had a case where a person from Tijuana who was a retired person, and he wanted to spend more time with his kids who live in San Diego, but he was just a tourist. And so his children who were living in the United States were not American citizens, they were here also on visas. So when I told him about the e-visa, he says, oh, that's a great opportunity. I always wanted to run my own taqueria. So with an investment of about $75,000, he was able to open his own taco shop and put somebody to run it, and that's how he was able to live and be close to his kids while living in San Diego. So it's a pretty simple process. It takes 90 days. All they care about is the financial investment, and it can be any sort of business. And it's a very flexible way to move and be legal here. You get a social security number. If you want to buy a house, you're eligible for loans from U.S. banks. And it was a very popular visa for us to do during the violence period in Mexico between 2006 and 2010. A lot of people who wanted to stay here, that was the quickest way for them to relocate from Mexico and move here using the investment. So that's an example of an E2, a simple, efficient way to move temporarily. It's not a green card, it's just a temporary way to move to the U.S. using investment.
La abogada está poniendo un ejemplo de este tipo de visas, de la visa de dos. Es el ejemplo de una persona en Tijuana, una persona retirada que quería pasar más tiempo con su familia en San Diego, y él con una inversión de $75,000 puso una taquería. La visa de dos es una visa relativamente fácil de conseguir. Lo importante aquí es la inversión y toma un proceso de unos 90 días obtenerla.
Another option is a lot of business people that own companies in Mexico, but they want to open a branch or a subsidiary in the U.S. That's